Hello everyone, welcome to do the next lab number 9.2.3.6, and that is in Packet Tracer implementing static and dynamic NAT. So let's open up our file 9.2.3.6, 9.2.3.6. Okay, we have this pka file. Okay, open that up. Okay, cancel that. Here is our topology screen, our diagram. Okay, and we have our instruction. Okay, good. Let's see what we are supposed to be doing. Okay, packet tracer. Let me read the instruction. In the meantime, you all can open up your Windows. Let's see. We're going to configure dynamic NAT with PAT, configure static NAT, and verify the NAT implementation. As you know, the dynamic NAT, dynamically, the network address will be translated. We're going to have a pool of address. That address are the global address. That will be assigned to all the local addresses. Even just one single address can be assigned to many local addresses using this PAT. PAT means port address translation. So I can have only one public IP and I can have many private IPs. All the computers with private IPs will be able to go to the internet using that one public IP only. That's the beauty of this dynamic NAT with PAT. Static NAT, in the static NAT we do one-on-one mapping. Just one private IP is mapped to attached to one public IP, and then we're going to verify the NAT. Okay, so now part 1, configure the dynamic NAT and PAT. Okay, let's move on. Step 1, configure traffic that will be permitted for NAT translations. So we need to basically assign the internal traffic, the local or private IP addresses, that we need to permit them in an ACL, access control list. So we're going to create an access control list. So on the R2 router, what is my R2? Let's look at the topology. Here is my R2 router. In here, we're going to configure a standard access control list named R2 NAT. We're going to name that list R2 NAT. And then we're going to use 3 statements to permit. In order, okay, the following private address space 192.168.10.0 with 24-bit mask, then 20.0 with 24-bit mask, and 30.0 with 24-bit mask. So 3 separate network address spaces. We're going to permit them to go through this access control list, and these private addresses will be eventually translated into public IPs. We'll do that in the next steps. So let's create the standard access lists first. Okay, so I'm going to go to the R2. So do the dynamic NAT. The first thing we do is to create the access list. So let's go to the router. I am in the router. Go to the privileged exec mode with enable command. Let's go to the global config mode with the config t command. I'm in the global config mode. That's where I need to create the access list. So my command is IP space access list standard st tab. Okay, and what is the name? The name should be R2 NAT, all in capital. Okay, all in capital. So R2 NAT, that's the name, R2 NAT. And so I'm going to press enter. So now I am in this access control list config mode. So I'm going to permit 3 network. These are the 3 networks I have to permit them. 192.168.10.0 first. So I'm going to type permit, per, okay, permit 192.168.10.0, that network. What would be the wildcard mask? Remember, for the access list we create wildcard mask, and that's kind of the opposite. Most of the time that's the opposite to the subnet mask. So let's take a look at this address as an example. Here is my address, 192.168.10.0 is a 24-bit mask. That's what they gave us right here. How do I find out the wildcard mask? Well, it's subnet mask. Subnet mask is 24-bit. Okay, so this one is your not wildcard mask. This is subnet mask. Make sure that we don't get confused. This is our subnet mask. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 because it's 24-bit. That's what it is. Okay. In order to calculate wildcard mask, I have to do this. I got to subtract the subnet mask from all 255s. So I type 255, 255, 255, 255. Then I'm going to subtract this subnet mask. Subnet mask is 255, 255, 255.0. So I'm going to subtract that. So what is the result? The result is here is going to be 0, here is going to be 0, 0.255. That's my wildcard mask. So I just subtracted the subnet mask from all 255s. So that's my wildcard mask, 0.0.0.255. Okay, so let's do that. So my wildcard mask here would be 0.0.0.255. Okay, then I need to do the same kind of permit statement for the other 2 networks, 20.0 and 30.0. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm gonna, for that I can use my up arrow key from my keyboard, up arrow key, and wildcard mask remain the same. I keep on going, make it 10.0 to 20.0 there. Okay, or I could, if you have difficulty with that, you can just simply type it up exactly this way, 20.0, next, enter. Next one would be 30.0. Again, with my left arrow key I keep on going, never use mouse, use the left arrow key on the keyboard, 30.0. Okay, so these 3 statements I have created. So my access list is now created. Fine. So I have done my step number 1. Let's go to step number 2. Now configure a pool of addresses for NAT. Okay, I'm going to create a pool in the R2. I'm going to create a NAT pool named R2 pool, all in all caps. Okay, we'll do that. That uses the first address in the 209.165.208.128/30. From that address space, the very first address from this subnet. And the second address is used for the static NAT later in part 2. So we'll do that later. So let's do this one. Use the first address to create this pool. So let's look at this address part. So what is the first address? 209.165.202.128. So let's see. 209.165.202.128 with a 30-bit mask. 30-bit mask here, subnet mask. 30-bit subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. Okay, I'm not showing you all the calculation, how to calculate. I have done that in many other labs. Check those out. So 32-bit subnet mask is this. Okay, and what is the, if this is the network address .128, what is the, because in this 30-bit mask I can only have 4 addresses, only 4 addresses. So next network address will be 132, just 4, add 4 to it. Magic number is 4 in this case. So I only have 2 usable IP address. The first one is going to be .129, just one more, .129, and the last one is 130. Okay, only 2 addresses are available in this small segment of the network. So first one is .129 and the second one is 130. Then 131 would be the broadcast address. Okay, in this case, broadcast, which I don't need it, I'm just showing you anyway. 209.165.202.131, that's broadcast address. So this is, so in this case, network address is 128, broadcast address is 131, and only 2 IP addresses are allowed. So I'm going to use the first one. As they say, create this pool right here, uses the first address from this space. Okay, what is the first address? Again, this one, .129. Okay, so let me do that. So I need to create, so first of all, I'm in the, here I am in the access control list config mode. So I'm going to exit out of that mode. I'm in the back in the global config mode. Now I'm going to create a NAT pool. So I'm going to type IP NAT pool, POOL. And what is the name of the pool? Name of the pool is R2 NAT. Let me double check if I can put the name, question mark. Yeah, I need to use a word now. So that word is R2 pool. That's the name of the pool. Okay, so all in all caps. So R2 pool, POOL, all in capital. Okay, and then the first address and the last address. But in here, in this pool, I'm going to only have 1 address, not 2. Only the first address of this network. That's going to be .129. Okay, so I'm going to type 209.165.202.129. And what is the last address here? Well, I'm using only 1 address, only the first one. So the same thing I'm going to have to write again, 209.165.202.129. If I had more than 1 address, then I would do the first one here and then the last one. But in this case, I'm only using 1 address, so the same address I wrote twice. Okay. Now the net mask. So I got to use the net mask, 30-bit mask. So I'm going to type NET net mask. What is the net mask? 255.255.255.252. And I can make this window more wide right now so you can see that. Okay, that's the whole command. So I wrote my first address, wrote my last address, they're the same. Net mask is this, enter. That's it. That is created now. The pool is created. Okay. What's next? Next is, so step number 2 is done, configure the pool. Step number 3 is associate the named access control list with the NAT pool and enable PAT. So I'm going to associate now that access control list with this NAT pool that I created. I'm going to bind those two. And I'm going to enable PAT. PAT means port address translation. I just have to use one extra word in the command, overload. If I use the overload, then only one address, public address, will be assigned to hundreds of or thousands of private addresses. So we'll do that. That's called overload, and that's called PAT, P-A-T. Okay, so I'm in the global config mode. So I'm gonna let's bind the access control list with my pool. So I'm gonna go down all the way. Okay, here. So I'm gonna type IP NAT inside source. This time the source is not static, it's dynamic. So in access control list. So I'm going to type list. What is the name of the list? That list that we created here, list name is R2NAT. That's the name of the list. So I'm gonna copy that one, paste that one, or I could just simply type it up, R2NAT. Okay, so this list is gonna be bound to which pool? So P is for pool space. The pool name here is R2. The pool name here is R2 pool. Okay, I'm gonna type up R2 pool. R2 capital POOL. Okay, that. So what I'm doing, let's clarify. This source is my access control list. In this list I have all my private IPs, this 192.168, those things. Okay, so I'm using this pool, meaning all of these private addresses, this list, access control list, and then I'm binding that list, all those private addresses, to this pool, R2NAT pool. R2NAT pool has what? This public IP of mine. That's my public IP, one public IP. But to assign only one public IP with this pool, with all these private addresses, I need to use this one more word called, that I have to type up, overload. O-V, I do tab, see, overload. That way, one public IP will be assigned to all the private IPs. Enter. Okay, done that. That's my step number 3. Step number 4, configure the NAT interfaces. Now I got to see which interfaces of the router have inside addresses and which interface of the router has the outside addresses. So I need to designate those interfaces in my router. So let's see. Let's look at the router R2. I see here, if I just simply put my mouse here, it's showing fast Ethernet 00, not gigabit. This is fast Ethernet. Fast Ethernet 00 has 192.168.20. So that is one interface that has internal address. Then fast Ethernet 01 is down, so I don't have to worry about that. Serial 000 10 dot, serial 001 has 10.2 dot. Okay, those are all private address. And serial 010, I'm looking at this list, serial 010 has 209 address. That's the public IP. So serial 010 should be outside. So now that tells me this is the fast Ethernet 00, this is the serial 000, this is the serial 001. These are all private IPs, has 192.168. All these are, all the private is on these 3 interfaces. Again, serial fast Ethernet 00, fast Ethernet 00, serial 000, and serial 001. On this side that connects to the internet, that has the public IP 209. That one is outside address. That I'm going to type IPNAT outside for this interface. And that interface is serial 010. Okay, so let's see. I go here, I'm in the global config mode, so I need to go to the interface mode. I'm going to type interface fast Ethernet 0/0, that one. That is inside of the NAT, has the private IP. So I'm going to type IP NAT inside, enter. And then I'm going to exit out of this interface. Then I'm going to go to the interface serial 000, that one, also inside, private address. So I'm going to type IP NAT inside, exit out of there. One more interface that has inside, interface serial 001, IP NAT inside, exit out of there. So all 3 exit inside interfaces I have already assigned as IP NAT inside. Okay, again 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, these are inside, and outside goes to the internet with public IP is this interface. serial 010. Okay, so let's go to that one. I'm going to type interface serial 010. Here I'm going to type IP NAT outside. Enter. So that much is done, and I'm going to be exiting out of that interface. Okay, I'm in the global config mode. Now at this time I see my point is 7 out of 8, so I have one more step or something to do. So I have done this all the interfaces. Now part 2, configure static NAT. So far what I have done is I have configured dynamic NAT. Now static NAT will map only one private IP to one public IP. Okay, designated one private IP to one public IP. So refer to the topology. Create a static NAT translation to map the local.pka inside address to its outside address. So a private IP to public IP, I have to create a map manually, statically written, not dynamic. Okay, let's check local.pka. What is that? In this topology, here is the local.pka. Looks like local.pka has inside address 192.168.20.254 and its global address outside inside global address would be 209.165.202.130. Okay, has a private IP, has a public IP. So let me create a NAT, static NAT for this. So I'm going back into R2. I'm going to type IP NAT inside source. This time source would be, last time the source was a list, access list. This time the source will be static. So I'm going to type static and then inside and outside address 192.168.20.254. That's my private IP or inside local, and inside global. They are saying outside, but actually it is the inside global address. Okay, so 209.165.202.130. okay, that. Enter. Done that. So that static NAT is configured as well. So now I also see that I have 8 of 8 point. That is good. Okay, now part 3, verify NAT implementation. Okay, step 1, access services across the internet from the web browser of PC1 and PC3. Access the web page cisco.pka. Okay, let's see how that is. Okay, here I have the PC1, that is an inside computer. PC1 is an inside computer. So, and cisco.pka is located here across the internet. So I have to go through this router to this router, finally all the way across the internet to go to cisco.pka. Let's see if we are able to do that from PC1. PC1, because again PC1 has what address? The 192 private address, and we know that private address cannot go to the internet. That's why I did the NAT here. So that one global address will be assigned to that all these PCs everywhere, PC3 and PC1. So let's see if that works. Desktop. I'm going to go to web browser. Okay, and where do I need to go? Cisco.pka. So cisco.pka, and I click on go. Yes, I was able to go. That's good. That worked. So I did from PC1, that's good enough. Okay, from the web browser for PC4, access the page local.pka. Okay, now PC4 is here. PC4 is across the internet. From there, somebody from PC4 wants to access inside my company this local.pka. Let's see if that works also. So PC4 desktop web browser, local.pka. So local local.pka from PC4. Go. Yes, that also worked. Fantastic. So far it worked. Now view the NAT translation. So when I did this kind of translation, then my NAT worked. So I can go and view the statistics. Okay, translation. So I can just go to the privileged exec mode and type show IPNAT translations. That's my last step. Show IPNAT translations. Go to R2. I'm in the config mode. Exit. I'm in the privileged exec mode. Show IPNAT translation. Show IPNAT translation. Enter. Yeah, I can actually expand this to see it better. Okay, look at that. Translation happened inside global and inside local. See, 192.168, that was local address, has been translated to this inside global. And also more, this 209, that address has been assigned to everybody. 209 and 209, that's one address, .129. These two, has been assigned to this 10.10. So all this translation has taken place. Just remember, inside global, inside local address, translation has happened. Outside local, outside global. So that's it. So that takes care of our lab. Completion 8 of 8. So we're good to go. Lab is done. So be sure to save it and have a wonderful day. I will see you again tomorrow to the whatever labs are left. I think I can just knock them out tomorrow, and then it will be all good. And you have this Sunday, coming Sunday the 10th, is your deadline to assign to submit all the labs and the exams. So be sure to meet the deadline. Okay, that already. Have a wonderful day.